Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's racing show is sponsored by RiverviewFamily.com Auto Sales. Go hit them up for all your auto sales needs. Tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube, we have with us Jace Sparks. Welcome to the show, Jace.
I appreciate you, man. I'm glad to be here.
How did you get started in racing?
Well, I got started into racing from kind of a young age. Kind of grew up with it in my dad and my uncle. So always known about their quarter midget days. And then when I was a young kid, my father raced modifieds, which was kind of a letdown. He wasn't the best at it. It was kind of trial and error, which was more of air than anything. And then 2019, my uncle, he raced D2 midgets and asked my father if he would like to get behind the wheel again of an open wheel car for the first time in like 40 years. And I was kind of, hooked after going and watching him and was excited. Was like, man, I got to try this for myself. I was over the moon, the thrill of it, everything was next level. So we bought a D2 midget. It was kind of unsuccessful for about 6 races and decided to be my uncle's crew guy for his national midget team he had for Carter Sarf. And once that all kind of dissipated, I asked him, what was your thoughts of being a crew chief for me getting in behind the wheel of a Badger midget, which was way bigger step than I think I needed to take right away. And everything's kind of just been history from then.
When you got behind the wheel for the first time, were you the least bit scared at all?
I think once the car started, I kind of thought to myself, I think I got myself into something. I don't know. I was pretty nervous. I was pretty excited. It was kind of a thrill of emotions. But once I hit the gas pedal, I think all that went away, and it was nothing but amazing adrenaline and excitement at that point.
How much success have you had as a race car driver?
I have some decent success now. We're going on my third, fourth full season. We won the 2025 Mara Midget Championship last year as a team and as myself as the driver. I've won the Badger Midget race. I've won some Mara Midget race. Plenty of podiums, plenty of top fives, plenty of top tens at both Badger and the Mara level. So decent amount of success. Obviously, we chase more success and more success, but for where I'm at, my short little run I've had so far, I think my success has been kind of nonetheless impressive for where I come from of the wrestling background and wrestling all my life before getting behind the wheel of a race car.
How do you celebrate your victories?
Usually my uncle and I have a beer to toast it and cheers it. That's kind of the best. And of course, call my mom. She's probably one of my favorite fans I have. Get to hear her excitement and kind of just embrace it and know that it's not always promised and kind of just take it all in for what it's worth in that moment. And then kind of shortly after, kind of have to put it behind and move forward and know we got to do it again next weekend. So it's kind of just cheers a beer with my crew chief, which is my uncle, and celebrate with my grandma, who's always there, has never missed a race. And if my father's there and makes it to a race, we kind of all just chill, relax, have a good little time, and make the best of the night and move on.
Okay. Out of your racing career, what has to be your most favorite victory?
I would have to say my recent Mara midget win. I got my first win the day I was supposed to walk at college graduation from the University of Tennessee. I skipped that, thankfully, for my mom telling me she didn't want to sit in a gymnasium all day. It was kind of surreal to take that first win, but I waited like 853 days after that to get back into victory lane, and that was kind of like I can do this, right? Like this is foreseeable in the future to do this again and feel the success and the reward of all the late nights in the shop, all the late night drives, and getting up and down the road. So I definitely have to say the win in 2025 season for the Mara Midget Championship, that was kind of like the sigh of relief, and everything kind of just felt right for that one.
All right. Um, okay. Uh, what is your home racetrack you race on?
So our home track is Lincoln Speedway in Lincoln, Illinois. That's kind of where my mom and dad went to high school. My whole family's from there. So Lincoln Speedway in Lincoln, Illinois, awesome track. Great people who work there, Adam Mackey and Ingram, who's the flagman there. Just a great, surreal little area. Great fans, always next to none. Some of the best fans there.
Okay. How did you come up with your racing number?
So my father is actually was number 40 when he was a kid and drove quarter midgets, and then when he stepped into modifieds, he got that number from the Chastain family, which is from Peoria, Illinois, who run modifieds to this day. So him being the car owner, I kind of always had my hero, even though I'd only heard the stories of my dad's success, and felt like taking that number on and trying to live up to his dreams of maybe being a race car driver when he was a kid, and then being the car owner. I felt it was real well needed, so I chose number 40 and kind of stuck with that, and love to run that number.
Who do you have for sponsors on your racing team?
Say that again.
Who do you have for sponsors on your racing team?
So I have North American Midway Entertainment, which is one of the largest traveling carnivals in the Northwest, or North America, I should say. I have Altered Image Vinyl, Advanced Foam Installation, Grau Chevrolet and Buick out of Lincoln, Illinois. Um, FK Roddens, my childhood wrestling team, the Crystal Lake Wizards, Arai Helmets, K1 Race Gear, Nuthatch Hill Barbecue, um, and surely missing a few here. Um, oh, Caston's Corals, which is my brother's company, who saltwater fish tank corals. Uh, and that's about mainly it of like the big sponsors that truly help me get up and down the road, keep me safe, and make this dream into fruition.
Are you presently looking for more sponsors?
Oh, absolutely. Always looking for more sponsors. Everything kind of helps out and goes a long way in my race team. It's a family owned team with my mom and dad being the car owners and my uncle being the one who funds the bill to get the car up and down the road with the truck and the trailer. So yeah, no, sponsors are always great. I love representing people and holding them to my goals and taking them with me and putting their name out on the map to a community that I've found has been absolutely top notch in the racing world of being, you know, supportive of all of our drivers, sponsors, and using them and keeping them to the fullest. I always looking for sponsors and trying my best and my part as the driver to, get my name out there, get our race team out there, to find some sponsors, and of course, always looking for that big sponsor that wants to take the team to the next level.
How does one get a hold of you to sponsor you?
So you can reach me my phone number. My racing page, which is just J Sparks Racing. I have a website, jsparksracing.com. My email is jsparksracing@gmail.com. So there's quite a few ways. I know on my racing page, I have made some posts and made sure to put my phone number out there if people want to feel more connected in a reasonable way of, just reaching out via text or phone call. I'm open to all ends of the spectrum of however makes more comfortable for them to reach me. It works for me any way possible.
So if there's anybody out there who would like to sponsor Jace or get to know him, reach out to him on his racing website, or his racing Facebook page. Do you have a racing nickname?
I do indeed. Yeah. It's the Joker. So in 2023, when I started back racing, my youngest cousin actually and my uncle, they always kind of had a Joker on their car. So as a tribute to my younger cousin who stepped away from the racing world after kind of a horrible accident as a young kid in a quarter midget, he had a cool little unique Joker that was specific to him and my uncle. And I decided to give a tribute car to them and do the design based on his quarter midget and the old announcer at the Badger Midgets. Kind of found out my background of being in the carnival industry. Um, and it kind of just rang from there. He's one night at a Angel Park race, he announced me as Jace the Joker Sparks, and it kind of just stuck from there. And I've truly embraced it. I love it. I'm a huge Heath Ledger fan, so it's no diss in my opinion to be called Heath, to be resembled to Heath Ledger. I don't think I look like him, but I maybe act a little crazy like him in times, and I know it's kind of been great. I've embraced it. I have it painted on my helmet. I've kind of lived up, and I actually my race suit is a Joker suit. Looks like the tuxedo that Heath Ledger wore in the Dark Knight. So yeah, no, the Joker's been the nickname given to me, and I hope to keep that name forever. I think it's truly a compliment to the work of, Heath Ledger, and also just kind of the aspect of where I come from in the carnival industry with my family being in it for all of their life, which is generational. And it's cool. I love it. I can't believe it was kind of one of those things that happened out of nowhere. Nothing I planned, nothing I expected, and it was given. And man, I've ran through the wind with it. I love it.
What is your most favorite racetrack that you've ever raced on?
Oof, tough question. I'm gonna have to put the Chili Bowl up there. That track is just so amazing. It's so cool to be inside and how quick the track changes. But if I have to put one outdoor track that we get to run, fortunately enough, it's Jacksonville Speedway in Jacksonville, Illinois. That is the definition to me of a bull ring up on the wall where, as a driver, you kind of got to pull the seatbelts a little bit tighter and get up on the wheel and get after it. I absolutely love that track. I would do anything to make that my weekly track and do it every weekend, every Friday night. I could run Jacksonville Speedway with a huge smile on my face pulling into those pits.
But when you're racing dirt track, do you like a wet heavy track, a dry dusty track, or right in the center?
I like a super slick track. I like to put the horsepower to the side and put all the other aspects of whose car is better and make it come down to who's got a better right foot and keep the car under you, not spin the tires. So I've always been a huge fan of the slick track up on the wall with a big curb to lean on. uh, I'm kind of a top guy. Me and the bottom don't really get along. I try some nights when we got to get down there. I made many mistakes down there. I made many mistakes on the top. But hot laps to me, when it's hammered down, just stand on the gas pedal and turn the steering wheel right after you set it into the corner. That's just never been real fun to me. I like slowing it down, bringing it to the skill of the driver, and ultimately putting my crew chief on the map as well. When the setup's right and the driver's right, man, a slick track is always where it's at. I definitely am a slick track type of driver.
Are you pretty good about reading the racetrack?
I'm pretty decent. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to try the top. If it's there, if it's not there, there's plenty of footage of Lincoln Speedway or other tracks where, everybody's kind of just fighting for the bottom, following the leader. And you got the one guy up top just hauling the mail, figuring it out. And that's usually where I'm at and just, being me. Uh, I know how to read the track for sure. But I know also my crew chief's kind of instilled to me, my father's instilled to me. If you want to win a race, you can't follow him. You got to find a way around him. You got to make everything work. So, yeah, no, I'm kind of just all about reading the track and knowing, I'm big on watching the track. I'm fortunate enough to have a crew chief that gives me the ability to go watch races before I get out on track and, see where it's going, what it's looking like, and, what they're doing for track work and all that. So I definitely think I'm not the best. I'm definitely not the best at reading the track, but I definitely think it is one of my strong suits of figuring out where the fastest line is possible.
Um, okay. Who's on your racing crew?
So I got my crew chief, which is Jeff Sparks, which is my uncle. Love him. My grandma Terry, she's more of the number one fan. And you got me. It's kind of a two-man band when it comes to the car side. I'm fortunate enough some nights my father can sneak away from work and get there, and it gives me the sensation of just being, a driver to a sense of a higher driver, get to kind of chill out, sit in the trailer, watch the track, watch my race pass. But 9 times out of 10, it's usually, just me and my crew chief dialing it in and figuring it out together.
Okay. Who's your racing hero?
My racing hero, man, I got quite a few. I really love Kyle Larson. I won't lie. I tip my cap to that guy. That guy is, to be on his level would be amazing. I will always say he's one of my heroes. Just watching him and seeing where he came from, and fortunately enough, Brad Sweet. I've been a fan of Brad Sweet before, Brad was at KKR. Well, Brad's always been at KKR, but when he was back in the midgets, I've always loved watching him. When, I was a young kid and I got to watch sprint car races with my dad or midget races with my dad. I loved Brad Sweet, and obviously my dad, right? Like hearing the stories as a kid growing up of how good he was in a quarter midget, and all the funny stories where he'd ask to start in the back and then still drive through the field, and carrying boxes and boxes of trophies when we moved houses, just his quarter midget days. I definitely have to put him on my Mount Rushmore. Just the success he had and how great he was. When I hear stories at the racetrack from fellow drivers that grew up racing with him of how good he was, those definitely would be probably my three heroes that, keep me and push me to be on their level in some sense. I mean, Kyle Larson's obviously, he's just a different breed, right? Like that guy is next to none, but I'd love to be him. So I'm going to keep trying and pushing the limit just like he does. And then, Brad's always humbled. He's always a great guy. Everyone talks about how great he is and how respectful he is. So I love to have him on there, and my dad. And I'd put my uncle on there, um, just for the aspect of, he's done it a long time. He drove dragsters, he drove dirt track cars. He's kind of done everything, which is to me is next to none. Just kind of talks about who he is as a person. So if I had to put four on a Mount Rushmore of who my heroes are, it'd definitely be those four.
What's the best piece of advice you've gotten as a race car driver?
There's quite a few. The best I would probably have to say is slower is faster sometimes, right? Like it's hard in dirt racing. It's kind of hard to understand that concept at first. I was a huge grandstand racer growing up, and I always thought them boys were just smashing the gas pedal and hoping it stuck every corner. But once you take on to a slick track and understand that keeping the tires under you is faster sometimes than just standing on the gas pedal. That's kind of been the biggest advice that I've taken under my persona that I understand and truly believe in. Um, and obviously the crazy one is when in doubt, throttle out. That's kind of just total opposite of slower is faster. But some situations, man, you just got to stand on the gas pedal and hope it sticks and hope it ends well for you.
What kind of advice would you give a new race car driver?
Take your time, right? Like listen to what everybody is telling you. Like I'm fortunate enough to be in the Badger Midget series and the Mare Midget series, and there's a lot of OG Badger Midget guys like Brandon Welty, Todd Kluver. There's a bunch of guys like that, Adam Taylor, who they've kind of taught me little things that I kind of took for granted at first. I didn't think that they were giving me the right advice. And I've kind of, as I've gotten older in my racing career, that, everybody's there to help you. No one wants to see anyone not succeed, right? Like we all want to be competitive. We all want to be battling for wins every night. So if I had to give a racer advice is, take the time to talk to those veterans and understand what they're saying, and don't take it as negative advice, like, right, like when they tell you like you should have done this and this might have been faster, this might have been better. Just listen to them, right? Like they're all trying to help you. We're all trying to make each other better. We're all competitive, correct? But understanding that everyone's got everyone's kind of back in that persona of listen to what they got to say. Now obviously some people might steer you in the wrong direction, but use that, right? Like you can take some negative advice of maybe that doesn't work all the time, but maybe certain situations it does. Just kind of just build that arsenal of all the things that these guys and girls will tell you of how to become successful in racing, and use it to your advantage, right? Like whether it's you feel it's positive or negative, write it down, put it in your notebook and your brain, and stick with it. So I definitely have to say for a young racer is one, soak it all in, right? Like tomorrow's not promised. And what we get to do is a privilege, right? We get to get in these fast race cars and do the great things, but also just listen to what these guys are telling you and hold that to you. Because sometimes it'll make you really fast and make you so much better as a driver, which I've learned very well from listening to guys like Adam Taylor that would come to my trailer and say, hey, like you looked really good when I was behind you. Try this next time. You might pull away from me a little bit more. You know, it's all kind of just words of encouragement, but also trying to help you get better as a driver.
Who are some of your friends at the racetrack?
So my best friend is Dalton England. Love that kid. That kid is it's my age. He's been racing quite a while in his life, and he is probably like we have that one weird relationship where we can race each other. We'll race each other harder than anybody we race against, but we'll also get out of the track and you'll see us run into victory lane to be the first one there to hug them, hug each other, and tell each other congrats. And other than that, like I don't really, I feel like I'm friends with everybody in our series, right? Like we kind of all are close niche little group, and we always got each other's backs in a sense. But you know, I definitely put Dalton England as like the top tier best friend I could ever have. Helped me a ton in my racing career getting started. And when you go to the racetrack at a Mara race, you're at Lincoln Speedway, you'll see the 19E car and the 40 car pitted right next to each other, no matter the track. And we're always laughing, giggling. Teams are hanging out and just um, living the dream of being race car drivers. And you know, I'll throw Adam Taylor on there. He's always been really humbled and come and supported me in every aspect. Uh, let's see, Ruben Hazlitt. He actually stepped away from driving and became a United States Marine, which is awesome. So happy for that kid. Uh, and you know, like I said, kind of just everybody. We're all kind of a close little group that gets along and love each other to death and hate each other at the same time. And we put those helmets on and close the visors. But if anybody, you know, I kind of stick to my people and stay in my own little lane. I don't want to step on people's toes and go out of my realm. But I definitely have to put Dalton England as the number one.
Hey, all right. So when you're strapped in your race car, getting ready to go on the racetrack, what helps get you psyched up and motivated to go out and do this?
You know, when I kind of put the seat. I always kind of leave my seatbelts a little loose in staging, and I roll out and kind of look at the track, look at everything, and look at the crowd. And you know, I use that as a lot of motivation. And obviously, my mom, she'll always text me before it's time to get in the race car and give me a little bit of words of encouragement. And you know, I kind of use it all as fuel to the fire. My grandma always walks by the car and gives me the fist bump and tells me good luck. You're the best. You know you are. Just get after it. So I kind of, you know, when I pull the seatbelts a little bit tighter, I kind of use the saying of throw them over your shoulder and see what happens is kind of my motivation. And, you know, just chasing the thrill of winning a race. You know, that's not always wins don't come easy, no matter what. Um, so just that drive of, you know, getting to stand on the cage and hear the fans erupt when you pull into victory lane, and, you know, the crew guy, my Jeff and my grandma running to victory lane to, you know, congratulate me. That's kind of my fuel, right? Like make my parents proud and understand we might be spending a ton of money to go racing and live some crazy dream I got. People would call it a midlife crisis. I kind of got it at a young life crisis that I want to be a race car driver, and just chasing that dream of the feeling of being in victory lane and, you know, saying, wow, how many cars were here and I just won this. Like I'm the best tonight. Like just that feeling is unmatched, right? Like I grew up wrestling. I know what it's like to win big tournaments. I know what it's like to be, but man, nothing beats getting to do a cage stand in front of all the fans and everyone going crazy. So my biggest motivation is definitely the thrill of it, right? Like getting to the front, whether we start deep or we start on the pole, just running up front. That's kind of just always been my motivation. Just get after it. Because, you know, tomorrow's not promised. So why not? Why not push it to the limit, see what we got, and pull the seatbelts a little bit tighter and see what happens.
Is there any big races you're looking forward to racing in coming up?
Uh, so Fireman's Nationals is a huge race with the Badger Midgets, with coast alongside the USAC National Midgets and Angel Park Speedway. That's a huge race. I love that race. I want one of those trophies so bad. The fireman standing on top of that trophy is so cool to me. So that's definitely number one. And every Lincoln Speedway race, right? It's my family's track, family hometown track. It's my home track. I've yet to stand in victory lane there with a ton of fans and family that come and support me. So any Lincoln race is a huge race to me to get on that podium or to stand on the cage, right? I want to get on the horse track and I want to do donuts for the fans. That's kind of such a thrill I got to watch as a young kid in the stands when my favorite driver, like Jeff Lika or somebody, would do donuts on the horse track for us or hand out the checkered flag or give their trophies. That's definitely a huge thing for me for coming up this season. I got to mark that off the bucket list and be the first one in the family to finally park it in victory lane there. Um, Obviously, the our Firemen's Nationals, like I said, and I know it's a long ways away. We just had it, but Chili Bowl 2027. That's such a cool environment and cool atmosphere. And yeah, we bring underpowered cars for an extent, but just to be there on flow racing at that stage with lining up to like I did in my heat race with Dason Pursley in front of me. Like that's just so cool to me. Um, so definitely those. Any Lincoln race, Angel Park for Firemen's Nationals, or honestly any Angel Park race, right? That place has such history, rich history with some of the greatest drivers to ever drive open wheel to get a win there. And just to mark my name with one of them as a feature winner there would be so cool. But Firemen's Nationals, man, that trophy is so cool. I want that thing so bad, so bad. And Cornfest at Angel Park, those are just Angel Park just has some of the coolest races with such cool atmospheres. So I'm definitely gonna say any Lincoln race, Firemen's Nationals, and the Chili Bowl 2027. I'm stoked to go back and either run for somebody or bring my car again and let it all hang out again.
What are your future goals as a race car driver?
Um, at the start of after last season, we kind of all talked on the team and maybe trying to go back to back with the Mara Midget Championship. Um, Possibly going to run for a Badger Midget Championship to etch our name in the history of the Badger Midgets. I'm fortunate enough to be etched in the Mara Midget Championship list with some great drivers. Um, so, maybe run for a championship. We kind of haven't decided whether we're going to run a full Mara uh, championship or run a Badger championship, more or less the quote unquote outlaw style of go run all the races we want to race. Um, and I'm planning on some Midwest Thunder races this year for Tom Fedorchak. Great guy, actually helped me come win a championship. Brought me a car from all the way from Michigan when my car blew up. So getting a win for him was definitely on the bucket list. He deserves it. He's awesome. He's great to work with, and I got to get that blue 21 in victory lane for him and just getting out there to the Midwest Thunder scene and, maybe getting a feature win with them. That's kind of some goals that I want to have. And obviously, right, is win as many races as we can. That's always a goal. I know I don't win as many as I probably should. I've had some unfortunate heartbreak leading some races with one lap to go, getting taken out by lap cars, whatever. So goals for sure right now would be as win as many races as possible and get Tom Fedorchak a win in that 21 car for the Midwest Thunder Series. And then, we decided to run a full Mara championship, which we're kind of leaning towards at this moment. Obviously, go back to back, right? That would be so cool to say that I got to do a championship season back to back, even though they're long, grueling, hard, every bit of running a full series. So that's kind of the goals as of right now. Definitely win races, get Tom Fedorchak a win in the 21 car, and then possibly if car owners tell me, "Yep, let's go run a championship for Mara or Badger," that's number one. That's you kind of got to put the aspect of winning every race behind you and just understand your points racing. Even though it's hard to do as a driver, I had to do it last season when it came down to the final races. But yeah, no, that'd definitely be the goals this year going into 2026 outdoor season.
Would you ever consider running like USAC, like Silver
Absolutely.
Crown and
Absolutely.
midget series?
I love, as my mom calls the Silver Crown cars, big booty Judies. I would love to run Silver Crown and go I'm fortunate enough. The business I work for, North American Midway Entertainment, we do the Illinois State Fair at the state fairgrounds there, where the Springfield Mile is, and I'm privileged enough to get to sit there and watch the Silver Crown cars rip around the mile track. And man, that would be so cool to get in one of those things. USAC National Midgets, absolutely. I love USAC. I love National Midgets. I was a crew guy for National Midgets. They're next level. They're heart thumping. They are bone shaking. They are just absolutely unreal. My dream for sure is to get in a 410 wing sprint car. That's kind of where I want to go after the midget scene, is try out some wing sprint car stuff. I have such a passion for watching sprint cars and being around the IRA with some great drivers there, with Blake Nemi, Jake Newman, all those guys, to watch them rip around there. Knowing Jake Newman came from the National Midget World after racing against him as a crew guy with our driver. Um, but yeah, no, my racing persona and what I love is racing, right? I don't care if it's asphalt, I don't care if it's fenders, I don't care if it's got wings on it, no wings on it. If somebody gave me the right opportunity or the right sponsorship landed in my lap, I would not question to go run any different version or style of race car in this world. I love it all. The only style of racing I'm not in for is drag racing. I love it. I love to watch NHRA, but man, I'm not that crazy. That is some wild, wild stuff to get in those rocket ships and go that fast in a quarter mile. That's about where I draw the line, is when you want me to strap it in the rocket ship and let off that button and see how fast we can go in a quarter mile. That scares me.
Okay. What's your favorite part about being a race car driver?
I think it's the adrenaline rush. It's so unable to explain what you feel when your seatbelts are pulled tight and the green flag's out and you're absolutely up on the wheel getting after it, inches from the wall. That adrenaline and that feeling you get of, it's me in this car. I mean, yes, you have other drivers, but when it comes down to it, it's kind of my break from the life, right? I get to close my visor. It doesn't matter what I say in that helmet. It doesn't matter what I'm feeling. Boy, I have the biggest smile on my face when I get to close that visor and stand on the gas pedal. So I definitely love just the aspect of being free. I feel free when that green flag's out and you're absolutely ripping around the track, and it's all in your hands, right? Like, there's no one standing there. There's no coach yelling at you in your ear like in wrestling from the corner, trying to tell you what to do. It's me in the race, me in the steering wheel, and me and my 2 feet with the gas and the brake. So just the freedom that I feel when I strap in and get to do what I love to do, and the adrenaline rush, that is some of the next level feeling, that it's so undescribable of what it feels like to get to drive a race car.
What do you like to do for fun outside the racetrack?
Um, Outside of racing, I like to hang out with my friends. Obviously, that's kind of a big one. I love to lay in bed and relax. I work a full-time job and I get to race on the weekends, fortunately enough. And that's kind of, it's work and racing. So the times I get to just relax, hang out with friends, that's next level to none. I like to try new things. I tried golfing. I tried just about everything. I'm big into the gym. I wake up every day at 4:45 in the morning. I get to the gym. I work out before work. Just another sense of peace and keeping my body right when it comes to getting in the race cars. And I love to shop. I'm huge on shopping. I love to go spend more money on top of a race car. I definitely won't lie about that. Me and my mom have a bad passion to do that together, and we can tear up some checkbooks going to shop. So I definitely have to put that up there, going to shop with my mom and just spending time with my mom and my dad. I have such a great relationship with them, which I'm absolutely blessed to have. My dad was my coach growing up in wrestling, and I've been blessed to have that. I will never not say that I'm so fortunate to have that. And I love to hang out with my uncle, right? Like, he's my crew chief, but he's like my best friend. We hang out together. We work in the shop together. Just everything we do together is always a blast. We have a good time. We like to gamble. We like to go hang out at the bar, have a drink or two, and just enjoy each other's company. So I definitely have to say, hanging out with friends, shopping with my mom, and then, just hanging out with my dad. That's kind of my favorite things to do outside of racing. I don't enjoy work. It's work. Who loves work? We got to pay the bills somehow. But I do enjoy it to an extent. It's exciting. It's a new thing every day, being in the carnival business. Um, but now hanging out with friends is next to none. I'm so blessed to have a great friend group and blessed to have great parents and a great family behind me that I get to hang out with and spend a lot of time with.
What types of racing do you like to watch on TV?
I mean, I watch everything and I love everything from NASCAR to dirt bikes to super modifieds, the late models on asphalt, the late models on dirt, to midgets, to sprint cars, I mean, I'm big on watching the New Zealand little kids and their quarter midgets that are next level. I mean, if it's got wheels and they race them, I genuinely have any passion to watch it. I mean, NHRA, love watching it. Um, like I said, if it's got wheels and them boys get after it, sign me up. I can sit there with a big smile and spend all day watching. I'm big watching stuff on YouTube, and I think I watch every race highlight from every weekend, every day. It doesn't matter what form of racing. I'm honestly just a fan of the sport of racing. I know what it kind of takes in my realm of racing. So the compassion and the passion I have for those guys that are doing it on all these different types of forms is just so cool to me. I mean, I watch Pro Ford trucks, I watch snowmobile racing. I mean, you name it, man. If it's racing, I'm in. Let's watch. I can go in person, I can watch it on TV. That's kind of just what I love to watch. Racing of any sorts.
Okay. Do you have any crazy racing stories you'd like to share with us?
Um, about the craziest stories I have is wrecking. I've had some crazy wild wrecks. 2024, I was leading a race, Coles County Speedway, one of our other tracks we run with the Mara Midget Series. I actually got a win there in 25. Um, I was kind of up on it. I was getting after it way more than I probably should have, being super aggressive. And I was lapping the 10th place car, coming to the white flag, took the white flag. And unfortunately, the 10th place car decided to turn hard right at the end of the straightaway and sent me probably for one of the wildest rides I've been on. And I've taken some mean ones. I've went head on straight at Angel Park Speedway, full speed down the front stretch with a steering box braking on me. Um, but no, that was a crazy one. That was one. The fireball, I saw it. I saw all the flash. I got out, and the kid I was racing with, it was a 15-year-old kid that took me out, and I was everybody thought I was getting out of the car to go maybe beat him up. But I definitely wasn't. I just wanted to walk over there and tell him, I'm okay. Like, you're fine. As he had tears in his helmet, he kind of knew what had happened. And I remember trying to walk myself to the ambulance and telling my series official, Phil Sims, which is one of my good friends, hey, man, you might have to help me get to this ambulance. I think I'm walking on the front stretch right now. And was a little dizzy, was a little concussed. That's probably about the craziest story. I've had some crazy stories as a crew guy, being in the national world, going out in hot laps and the driver trying to win hot laps. And, we're in the pits thrashing to rebuild the car before a heat race, or getting taken out in a heat race, trying to rebuild the car before a B main or a feature, or going to help buddies out and, thrash and living for the thrash. There's been some crazy nights thrashing on race cars, and just the after parties of the races, right after the all the egos and all the adrenaline's wore off all the drivers, and you all kind of get to sit around and talk about the night and some of the crazy things we get to do, fortunately enough being the drivers, where the track owners leave and they let us keep our four-wheelers out and maybe have a little too much to drink, and we take our four-wheelers and race four-wheelers on the track. There's been some crazy nights of doing some things that maybe we don't tell everybody about, but they're definitely part of the story that make us keep coming back every weekend.
Okay. What would you say to a kid to help get them in a race car?
Um, I'd probably have to tell him, you kind of got to help yourself, right? Like, I'm fortunate enough. My parents did make the big purchase of buying the car, um, which was I'm beyond blessed for. They do so much for me in my race career, buying me the things that it takes to win at this level. But working a full time job, you got to make sacrifices, right? Like I work full time job in the carnival business. It's not an 8 to 5. It's crazy hours. There's some nights I drive 15 hours one way to make a race and drive 15 hours back to be at work the next day by 8 a.m. Uh, help yourself, right? Find the ways, be vulnerable, be out there to sponsors, find people that want to invest in you and sell yourself to them. And, when it comes time, you want a new K1 race suit, buy it yourself, find a way to make some money. And, there's many things you can do as a young man. I mean, I had a job from probably the age of 8. I've been working, figuring out how to buy the things I want. And I've always been a believer, if you want it, you got to go get it. You got to chase your own self and hold yourself to a super high standard to get what you want and where you need. So I'd tell him, invest in yourself, right? Like I'm big on helping my parents afford the car and pay for tires, pay for fuel. When it comes to safety equipment, I buy the safety equipment myself. That's investing in myself for the future of having the best safety gear I can possibly buy. And I'm fortunate enough to have built some relationships with those people before I was even quote unquote decent in a race car, right? Just selling myself, like I have these goals and this is what I'm doing to get there. And then taking a chance on me. You got to sell yourself to these guys that love racing like we all do. They're always down to help that young up and comer. And when you invest in yourself, man, the sky's the limit. So definitely just telling kids to invest in themselves and understanding that if you want to be at the top or you want to do this, it's going to come with great sacrifices, whether it's hanging out with friends and being in the shop all night or, finding some way to make a little bit of cash as a young boy or young girl to afford something you want for the race car, not expecting it all to be handed to you. You got to work for yourself, invest in yourself in some way, shape, or form.
Hey, at this portion of the racing show, I'd like to turn the mic over to my guest. If you have a couple questions you'd like to ask me, you can ask me a couple questions.
I just want to know, like, how'd you get started with the whole podcast world? I think it's great. I'm a fan of it. I watched all your shows. I'm deeply invested in it. Just want to know how you kind of got to this aspect of the racing world.
Been a racing fan for quite a few years. Quite a few years.
I could imagine.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it goes clear back to my childhood being a racing fan. The days of Earnhardt Sr. and Rusty Wallace and
Okay.
Tim Richmond and Rich Vogler
Okay.
and
Yeah, the Vogler.
Rob,
Yeah.
Robbie Stanley and Sleepy Trip.
Okay. I've heard
Yep,
those names for sure in the legend books for sure.
and then Doug Wolfgang and the Wing
That's
Sprint car were.
that's my dad's favorite driver of all time is Doug Wolfgang. So know the name very
I've
well.
met I've met him.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then you know, I- being a fan of like Mark Kinzers and Stevie Smiths and stuff like that.
Oh,
World of
Steve,
Outlaw wise,
love Stevie.
yeah.
Now another question I got for you is what is your like favorite type of race car, right? Like we all like I'm obviously partisan to the midgets and but I love every bit of racing. But if I gotta go watch if the track's right and it's the right show, boy, midgets on dirt tracks are next level to me. So just like do you have like a favorite you like to watch specifically
I'm
over
like
one or the
I'm
other?
I'm like you. I like to watch everything,
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
Yes.
So no bias of maybe one thing over the other. Cause man,
No, no.
if midgets are right, the right track, woof, I'm hooked. That's
Yeah,
like a drug. I
yeah,
can't keep my eyes off the TV.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
And then another one just simple is like how far do you want to go with your podcast, right? Like I like to hear
Quite a
people's
ways. Quite a ways. Quite a
like goals
ways.
and ambitions for that stuff because I'm always looking to chase that next level with racing. So just like how far you're wanting to take the podcast world, are you wanting to be just the size you are now, or are you trying to go to like, your dirt vision, what do they call it? The pit bull talk or something like that?
Big time. Go big time.
Absolutely. That's dope. That's awesome. That's cool to hear for sure.
You were
I
you were talking you were talking about Jace. You come from the quarter midget racing world. Okay. Do you know that this year they have a rookie World of Volley driver that's coming from the quarter midget racing world?
Is that Carter
Casey Jedrzak.
Casey Jennersek? Sorry about that. Yeah. No, that's cool. I seen that, and I think that's cool as heck for him. I'm definitely gonna root for him. Definitely waiting for some merchandise drops and gonna get me a shirt for sure. Actually had my Donnie Gentry shirt on, which absolute legend on the wrenches in the midget world. Uh, Now I'm a huge fan of people, young kids getting the right opportunity, right, and taking that step and putting their name on the map and showing everybody who they really are. Like I kind of think about when we raced against Ryan Timms in national midgets, never expecting to do the things he did last season in a sprint car and going out and win the Knoxville Nationals and stuff like that is just so cool to me to see young kids that get the right opportunity and they succeed, right? Like they put themselves in that position and they know what they want. I think that's so cool. So, nope, absolutely stoked for Casey and hope all the best for him.
We were talking about legends, as far as mechanics wise. I have to tell you this story, Jace.
All right.
Back in ni- back in 1999, I was at the Knoxville Nationals. I was down there for all 4 days. The last night I was there, was walking through the pits after the races. Winner had won the race. He was up doing his media up, and I walked over to the pits of Mark Kinzer because he had won the race. Okay, I says I was standing in line. This person approached me and says, "Hey, you looking for somebody in particular?" I says, "Just want to talk to Mark and congratulate him and get his autograph." He's like, "Oh, he'll be up in the VIP box for a little while doing his thing up there. Um, you could step inside the ropes and have your picture taken with me and get my autograph." And I was like, "Okay." Lo and behold, it was Carl Kinzer.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's neat. What are the
yeah,
odds?
yeah,
That is crazy. Wow.
yeah.
I couldn't imagine that one. That would be that's kind of like me the first time I ever saw Kyle Larson in the pits when he's just riding his bicycle through the pits. I was like, is that literally Kyle Larson? And everyone's like, yeah, yeah, that's him. And I'm like, there's no way. Like he's just an average dude, right? Like no, that's so cool. I would never
Yeah.
imagine to be, oh, okay, yeah, I'll take a picture with you, and it come out to be Carl Kinzer. That's crazy.
And then when I was down there that same year, I got a chance to get an autograph and talk to briefly to Brad Doty. That was kind of cool to talk to him.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of old YouTube videos, of old Brad getting after it behind the wheel and all of that. And obviously, I watch the Brad Doty Classic every year and see what he has to say to the driver that wins. So that's cool. That's really cool to meet him. There's definitely some few of those guys that I would love to sit in a room and just have a conversation with one time and hear some of those crazy stories.
On my racing show a little while ago, I had Danny the Dude Lasowski on here.
I did see that. I did watch that one. That was pretty cool. And then Kenny Wallace, I seen that one, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be pitted by Kenny Wallace one night at a Spoon River
Yeah.
Speedway race, and I went over and joked with him and just felt like he was just a normal dude. But deep down, I'm sitting there like, this is literally the Kenny Wallace. Like it's Kenny
Yeah.
Wallace, and he is just as funny outside of a camera as he is on a camera. So that's cool.
Oh yes, definitely. But is there anybody else you'd like to thank you for getting you this far with your racing career?
I just always got to thank my mom and dad first, right? Like they're the ones that they push me to my goals. The ones that they'll bite the hard bullets with the big bills when it comes to building a car. So I obviously always want to thank them first and foremost. It's not possible without those two, as well as my crew chief Jeff, my uncle. Without him being the one that wants to spend late nights in the shop and work his butt off to be the best crew chief he can possibly be, in affording our race car trailer, giving me the nicest, biggest trailer possible to be able to put spare parts in and get us up and down the road on his own dime. Always got to thank them first and foremost. And just all my people at the sponsors, right? North American Midway Entertainment, Crystal Lake Wizards, Advanced Foam Insulation, Alternate Image Vinyl, Castings Corals, FK Rodins, all those people. I can go on and on how great those people are to me and what they do for me and how privileged I am to have come across those people and them wanting to invest in me. So they're always the ones that I got to thank. And first and foremost, I also got to definitely thank Dalton England. He's a best friend of mine. He pushes me as a driver, as a human being outside of the racetrack to be the best version of myself. There's many nights on these long drives where, I drive 15, 20 hours from work to the racetrack. And, he's one that wants to stay up all night as I push through the midnight oil and get there. He's always the one to encourage me, you're all right, man. If you got to pull over, take a break, do it. I'm going to stay here on the phone with you. So I always got to thank those people that, help me get through all the hard times where those sacrifices, man, do they really feel worth it at the end of the day? And they're the ones that are like, well, you did just win a race. You are leading the points championship. You did just get to run 40 laps at full speed in a race car. Is it really that bad? And it's like, oh no, you're right. You're right. I appreciate that one. So definitely always just got to thank my people that, support me, stand by my back. My Crystal Lake Wizards, the wrestling team, that coach, um, he's great. Tony Fontanetta. I have a shirt that literally says FT4L, which is Fontanetta Trained for Life. Just what he's instilled to me as a young boy growing up in a humbling sport and now being in an even more humbling sport, I feel like always reaching out to me, making sure I'm good. Just got to thank him. Um, Danny Houston with North American Midway Entertainment. He gives me the privilege to take any night of the week I want off to go race wherever it is. He's going to support it. Let me take the day off. My boss here, which on our unit, is Tom Theobald, understanding that I have a bigger passion for driving race cars than I do working sometimes, and giving me that freedom as well to go be a race car driver. Both my brothers, right? Like my oldest brother is a huge fan of me. Always tries to make it to a race and support me in any way. So got to thank him. My middle brother, he's not really a fan of dirt track racing. He's a huge drifter. He likes drifting. But just all of his little quirky comments like dirt track racers must be weird. Just all those, just motivate me in some sense of got something to prove to you. So I gotta thank them, obviously, and just obviously being my big brothers, right? Like I look up to them greatly. So kind of just chasing their footsteps of trying to outshine them in some way. That's kind of just fuel to the fire. Um, and again, right, my mom and dad, I'm so blessed to have the parents I do and to put me in the position I am in a race car. And then I obviously got to thank Quinn McCabe and Amy Schultz with the Badger Midgets and the Mara Midgets, the president and the race director, the things they do for us drivers to be the best we can and put us on the highest platforms to showcase ourselves, to chase that next level. I can't thank them enough, right? They're great humans. I'm fortunate enough I get to call them my neighbors too, which never knew they were my neighbors until I started driving in their race car series. And they found out, we live 2 blocks away. Oh, no, I didn't. I've lived here about 10 years and never knew you were my neighbors, nor did people in this town knew what dirt track racing was. And so just all those people and everyone all the officials a part of the Mara Midgets and the Badger Midgets, the announcers, the flagmen, the safety crews. Huge thank you to the safety crews. I've had to use them a few times of sitting in the ambulance and talking to them after some wrecks. So just all those people I got to thank, and anybody who supports me, my fans, my enemies, my friends, all those people. I can't thank them enough for the kind words or buying t-shirts or stopping by after the track and just having a conversation, whether it's about racing or it's about work or life. I don't take any of it for granted. I appreciate all of them in every aspect, and everyone that I meet at the racetrack that goes out of their way to either help me, coach me, come jump me and tell me how I did this wrong and I need to do this and this better. I appreciate all of them. And it sounds crazy. I sound like an ego guy, but no, I'm truly appreciative of all of it, because at the end of the day, it's them taking time out of their day and their racing or their lives to come have a conversation with me. And I hold that to the fullest. You know, I'm someone who believes that tomorrow's not promised. So I take it all to heart, and I love it all, and I'm appreciative of all of it and everything I get to do in my life.
Well, I would like to thank you, Jace, for being on our racing show tonight, talking to us about your racing career, getting to know you a little bit better. I will have you step out and I will give you a call in a little bit to thank you.
I appreciate you, man. No, I really appreciate you having me on the show. I feel honored to be on here. I feel like it's a privilege to get asked by you to be a part of your show. And man, I hope we get to do it again sometime. Maybe when we get some more wins or something, you call and ask, "Hey, man, we getting you back on the show or not?" I just want to wish you the best with the podcast, right? Like I hope you
Yeah.
get to the top, man. I hope one day I'm watching Flow and it's you. I really do, and I think you'll get there. Just keep chasing your dreams. And I just want to say thank you again for having me on the show.
Thank you very much, Jace. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You have a good one, man.
You too. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jace Sparks on our racing show tonight, talking to us about his racing career. Go follow him on his racing website, his racing Facebook page, and go get a hold of him on email if you'd like to sponsor him or get to know him better. But if you'd like to sponsor us, our racing show, or be on our racing show, feel free to call us or text us at 712-209-7138, or you can email us at jjnull151 at gmail.com. Have a good night, everybody.